Hello, my name is Haley Allison, and it is my honor to present the National Child Care Initiative to lawmakers on the national level. It is our nation's best interest to invest in the child care system. The policy that I propose is that families, children, employees, and employers will collaborate in efforts to reduce child care costs, increase child care quality, and support parents' needs in order to raise a successful generation for the future. Children will be provided the opportunity to learn in an enriching environment. Parents will be provided the opportunity to work and be in close proximity of their children. Employers will be provided the opportunity to give their employees a low-cost benefit that will impact our future generations of employees and members of society. A few issues that will be addressed is the fact that childcare is expensive. I have done a study to compare the average childcare cost in randomized states around the United States. First, I looked into Idaho, which the average cost is $7,474 annually for infant childcare, which is 3.1% more than in-state public college tuition. And according to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, childcare is affordable if it costs no more than 7% of a family's income. And by this standard, only 16.3% of Idaho families can afford infant childcare. Secondly, the problem for childcare workers is that nationally, workers' families are more than twice as likely to live in poverty as other workers' families. 11.8% are in poverty compared with 5.8%. A median childcare worker in Idaho would have to spend 36.2% of their earnings to put their own child in infant childcare. In Missouri, the average annual cost for an infant is $10,041, 19.7% more than in-state public college tuition, meaning 1 out of 33, that makes childcare more expensive than in-state college tuition. Childcare for 2 children in Missouri, an infant and a 4-year-old, costs $17,000 approximately annually, and that is 43.5% more than the average rent in Missouri. Okay, in Georgia, $8,530 annually on average for infant child care, 18.4% more than in-state public college tuition. A minimum wage worker in Georgia would need to work full-time for 29 weeks or from January to July just to pay for child care for one infant. In Maine, $9,449 annually for infant child care, 2.2% less than in-state public college tuition. 1 out of 4 states that was less than college tuition. A typical family in Maine would have to spend 28.3% of its income on child care for an infant and a 4-year-old. My plan is to make child care more accessible, an opportunity to have child care at work or in the same town that is affordable and collaborates with a family's work. History for families that work. I did some research on an article that was written by Janet Gornick and Marcia Myers. Families That Work is what it's called. And it tells us that in the history, in 1930, the minority of families had parents both working. Now, by the end of the century, in the 90s, 70% of both parents were working or the single parent was working. Social and economics of the working industry have changed. Gender roles. When women started working in the industry, they still maintained their roles at home. And today, gender roles are changing and ever changing, with men staying at home while the women goes out into the work field. Women are having to withdraw from employment because of their children and their priority for their children. One opportunity that I want to address before moving forward is the fact that there are some programs in place, one being in Idaho called the Idaho Child Care Program, that helps support families that qualify. And I will tell you a little bit more about this as I continue along. This policy will affect employers, employees, families, children, and child care workers. It affects employers, because it will maintain high quality employees, opportunity to provide paid leave. In turn, employees return to work sooner because their child care is immediately accessible and government subsidized to support low costs. It affects employees to maintain their children at work, home, or nearby at an office that's at an affordable rate. It will affect families because it will support the work and family balance, finances, and quality child care. It affects children because we need to invest in our future generation by providing children, infant to 18 with quality engagement. Again, an investment in our society. An effort to give a living wage to child care providers. I have also included the Bureau of Labor Statistics. The median hourly wage for child care workers was $11.65 in May of 2019. According to the Living Wage Calculator by Carrie Nadeau, the living wage in the United States is $16.54 or $68,808 per year in 2019, before taxes for a family of 4, 2 working adults, and 2 children, compared to $16.14 in 2018. Again, very comparable. The minimum wage does not provide a living wage for most American families. A typical family of 4, 2 working adults, and 2 working children needs to work nearly 4 full-time minimum wage jobs, a 75-hour week per working adult, to earn a living wage. Single-parent families need to work almost twice as hard as families with 2 working adults to earn the living wage. A single mother with 2 children earning the federal minimum wage of $7.25 per hour needs to work 138 hours per week, nearly the equivalent of working 24 hours per day for 6 days to earn a living wage. My statement in this is saying that the child care workers make less than a living wage, and my policy is in place to support a living wage for child care workers. Demographics. I wanted to address how this would affect large corporations, small businesses, multi-child families, dual-employed parents, single parents, and culturally diverse communities. I have considered large corporations because they will be given the opportunity to provide support directly to families or provide pay to families to support them. Small businesses are less likely to invest in their own child care center to meet accreditation and quality standards. They may choose the option to allow parents to leave to attend their children, work from home, or assist in making child care costs under 7% of their income. Multi-child families are less likely to be able to afford child care. The policy meets the needs of this demographic. Dually employed parents, more involvement opportunities with their children, potential to reduce work hours because of reduced childcare and less financial burden. Single parents, accessible childcare, and childcare that considers both quality and financial stability. Cultural diversity. This plan includes all families. Why? You would ask? Most children live in a household where parents work. According to 11 Facts About American Families and Work, today across married and single parent families, all parents are working in more than 6 out of every 10 households with children, up from 4 out of 10 in 1965. This includes you'll earn a couples as well as single working parents, both of which have been increasing. The steady increase over the last 40 years also holds for families with children where their youngest child is under 1 year old. Accessibility. Without workplace flexibility and a supportive work environment, it could be difficult for parents to handle these expected child care needs, especially since almost 1/4 of adults report that they have lost a job or were threatened with a job loss for an absence due to illness or having to care for a sick child or relative. This problem is even more acute for low-wage workers who are least likely to have workplace flexibility options and can least afford to take paid leave. Work and family balance supports families in all areas of need and promotes strong families. On this next graph here, you will see that the benefits of companies increases productivity, helps recruit more talented workers, lowers worker turnover and replacement costs, reduces absenteeisms, boosts profit and cuts costs. The benefit shareholders, lifts the company's stock price when announced, shares outperformed over the long term, benefit workers, improves job satisfaction, and alleviates challenges affecting work-family balance. Okay, we have two options for funding between families and employers. Families have the choice, and employers also have the choice. Employers have the choice based on what works for their company, and families have the choice to make a decision on what works best for their family. Employers do have the advantage here because they might not have the option to provide childcare in their business. Therefore, they have an alternative option that will still benefit families and be flexible and advocate for families. So, I set up two options to meet the needs of small and large corporations and give families the options for childcare that best fits their needs. Option 1, in further depth, includes all child care providers charge the same amount to all families. Government subsidize everything over 7% of the family's income with the requirement that both parents are employed full-time or the primary provider for the children is fully employed. If the family or employer chooses to receive child care outside of the setting, they must be given priority to be at a center closest to their place of work, meaning the priority in the center will be given to the family that has full-time working parents over parents that stay home or work part-time. All parents will be given the right to leave their job to attend a child's appointment or leave to pick up their child if sick or emergency. It will still uphold current laws, for example, a breastfeeding mother to leave work so that she may feed her child, and other laws related to family and medical leave law. All families are given this right. It also provides an option to provide parents time to work from home and still receive child care benefits, child care for ages birth to 18, 24/7-hour facilities for parents that work overnights or odd hours. That's a big one I want to take note of. Inclusive child care for children that have disabilities to be invited into their least restrictive environment, including DD services that may be provided in the facility, and an option for summer camp activities or school-time clubs for children to participate in. Option 2, the employer will provide in-house childcare. Employees pay 7% of their income to childcare. Anything that is needed to pay employees of the childcare center and a living wage is paid by the employer as a benefit of the employee. All parents will be given the right to leave their job to attend a child's appointment or to leave to pick up their child if they are sick or there is an emergency. Every mother breastfeeding has the right to leave to feed their child or work. And again, maintain family and medical leave laws. Child care for ages birth to 18, 24/7-hour facilities for parents that work overnights or odd hours, optionally, based on the employer. Inclusive for children that have disabilities to be invited into their least restrictive environment, including DD services within the facility, and an option for summer camps or school-time clubs for children to participate in. How this will be funded, I'm starting to run out of time, but it's imperative. It is imperative that I explain how this is going to be funded. Defining a living wage for child care providers is based on the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. On the right, you will see a graph here that explains that the 50% median hourly wage for child care workers is $11.65. I went into depth earlier, but that is an annual wage of $24,000, which is not a living wage. The reason behind the 7% rule is from the Economic Policy Institute study. Meaningful child care reform that kept families' expenses at 7% of their income would save a typical Idaho family with an infant $3,372 on child care costs. This would free up 6.9% of their annual income to spend on other necessities. Parents would have more opportunities to enter the labor force. If childcare were capped at 7% of income, 5,379 more parents would have the option to work. This is essential.